Hey, good morning. Welcome to Take 5. Let's jump right in. So, the last couple of days we've been talking about Genesis chapters 1 through 3, the creation story and the fall of man. And Sunday I preached a message that was entitled, How Did We Get Here? And we're trying to answer that question not only from the perspective of how we were created and how this world got here, how mankind got here, but also how did we get where we are today spiritually? How did this world get to where it's at today? We've talked about how beautiful this world is that we live in right now, but how beautiful must it have been in the very beginning of time when God created this thing? You know, yesterday we read Genesis 1:31, where the Bible says that after God finished creating everything, He looked at all that He created and He said that it is very good. Now, how beautiful must this world, how perfect must this world and everything in it, and even mankind, must have been for a holy, righteous, perfect God to look at it and say, it is very, very good. Now, the thing that catches my attention is the fact that if you think about how perfect our world was when God originally created it, how perfect it was supposed to be, how perfect it was intended to be. The truth is, even though our world is still beautiful in a lot of ways today, it's not perfect like it was supposed to be. It's nowhere close to what it must have originally looked like in the beginning. If you think about it, this world is full of sin and the symptoms of the sin curse. I mean, you look around the world right now, there are countless wars going on where thousands and thousands of innocent people are dying just because of the greed and the desire for power of a few men. If you look in our nation right now, we disagree on every subject, whether it be abortion or gay marriage or gender identity or politics of how we're supposed to handle the economy and just everything. It's always something. We can't agree on anything. We can't even agree to disagree. And if you think the church is innocent from sin, then, I mean, you've not been paying attention. I mean, no matter what pastors do, they cannot get people to be committed in their pursuit of God. It seems like church attendance is nobody cares about that. People are just indifferent about the church attendance and the things of God today. No matter how many events we hold, or no matter how many items we give away, no matter what's going on, it seems like we can never get people to bring their kids and their teenagers to church. And the truth is, how can we expect these teenagers and these kids to be involved in godly things, to care about God, if their parents are indifferent about it? And so all over our world right now, we see the effects of the sin nature, this sin curse in our life. And if you look at this world right now, we look nothing like what we were originally created to be. So the question is, how did we get here? How do we get to a place where we're so full of sin and there's so much chaos and there's so much hate and bigotry and there's so much death and turmoil and just so much going on in this world? How did we get from where we are today, from where we were originally created to be perfect, holy, righteous beings? How did we get here? And the answer is, the short answer anyway, is all it took was one disobedient, rebellious decision. See, the Bible says in Genesis that God created the Garden of Eden, created all of the world, and then He created this garden. And He created Adam and Eve, and He placed them in the garden. And the Bible tells us that God had created this beautiful garden with an abundance of food and fruit trees and all kinds of plants that gave food. And God said to Adam and Eve, you can have anything in this world for food. You can do in this world whatever you want to do. The Bible actually says that God gave them dominion and authority in this world, which means that they were supposed to reign supreme in this world, that everything in this world was supposed to answer to them, and the only person that was above them was God Himself. So God gave them this world and everything in it, and He told them, you can do with it as you wish. You can create things, you can build things, you can eat of anything you want, you can do with this world what you want to. The only thing you can't do is eat the fruit from one tree in the middle of the garden. This tree was called the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He gave him one rule. He didn't have an abundance of rules, and he didn't have all these gray areas. You know, nowadays in the church we talk about, is this a sin? Is drinking a sin? Is is going to church or not going to church a sin? We talk about all of these things. Well, in Adam and Eve's day, in the beginning of time, God gave one rule, just to make sure that they remembered that He was their supreme authority, that He was in control of everything, including them. And the Bible tells us in the first 3 chapters of Genesis that they decided to disobey God and rebel against the one command that He gave them. And in this moment, what they did was not just disobey a rule, but in this moment, what they did was basically replace God's authority in their life and replace it with sin as their authority in their life. That's a terrible trade. A terrible trade when you replace God as the only person you look to as your authority figure, and now you've basically traded it for this thing called sin. And that was the one decision, the one thing that started this roller coaster, this downhill slide of turmoil and chaos in this world. That's how it all started. That's how we get where we are today. So the question, how did we get where we are today from where we were originally intended to be? One rebellious, disobedient act. And tomorrow we'll talk about how that thing snowballs. Have a great day today. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow morning right here at Take 5.